Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox Recording here to explain to you why mixing metal guitars is so annoying and how you can fix this issue. Let's jump into it. So if you've been mixing metal for any length of time, I'm sure you know by now that mixing guitars really can be challenging. Things just step on each other's toes. They're either too bright, too muddy, there's not enough room for anything, they step on the vocals. You know the situation. And the reason for this is simple. All of your guitar tracks are fighting for the mid-range. But the question is, how do you deal with this? If you cut mid-range on guitars, it's not gonna sound right. If you boost mid-range on guitars, they're gonna be overly mid-rangey. Generally. In this video, I'm going to share with you the most straightforward technique for dealing with this issue, and it's so simple, and all the pros do it, that most people don't even think to do it. And it doesn't take much time, and it doesn't require any plugins. Before we dive into the lesson, I just want to remind you that you must start with a decent tone at the source. And so much of a good guitar tone comes down to either using a solid cab and microphone, or if you're using an amp sim, a solid impulse response. Now, if you're using guitar plugins and amp sims and you're looking to achieve a good tone in the box with minimal fuss, you can download my impulse response Octapack. These are impulse responses that I captured out of my own studio of my favorite Mesa Boogie cab with V30 speakers. You've got two SM57s, two SM81s, two Sennheiser E609s, as well as two Electro Voice RE16s. Just drop one of these impulse responses into your amp sim or IR loader and get right to dialing in killer metal guitar tone with minimal fuss, super easy. So right now in this audio sample, I'm gonna play you a chorus riff, into a guitar solo, and then into a breakdown. And I want you to pay close attention to what you hear happening going on with the guitars. Let's check it out. Now, if you were paying close attention, you probably noticed that none of these guitar tracks were stepping on each other's toes. Was it EQ? Was I using some special stereo widener or some form of MS processing or sidechain compression? No, all it came down to was simple volume automation only on my rhythm guitar bus. Here's the thing, there are only so many things that the listener can pay attention to at once. If you want the listener to pay attention to the solo, make sure the solo is the focal point of the mix. If you want the listener to pay attention to the vocal or the guitar overdub, make sure that becomes the central focus of the mix. So many of the mixes that people send me, I could tell that they didn't do any automation to their guitars, and that's why all of a sudden when a lead pops in, things get loud and crowded, and then when the lead drops out, things sound empty, and things just overall end up not sounding balanced. And the truth is, this really isn't complicated. Just automating only your rhythm guitar bus goes a long way, and that's all I'm doing in this mix. So in this mix, all four of my rhythm guitar tracks, which are actually only two guitar performances. It's just the tone mixed with the clean DI sound for extra clarity, but all four of these tracks are being bussed to my rhythm guitar submix. And I have a little bit of EQ, but again, the EQ has nothing to do with this. The reason why the guitars are not fighting, again, is because of this simple volume automation. So my normal volume for the rhythm guitar bus in this mix is negative 8.6 dB, or around negative 9 dB. And that's sort of my nominal normal level. Now, if you notice when the guitar solo kicked in, it was nice and clear. Let's hear that transition once more between the chorus and the guitar solo. So So if you notice, the solo is cutting through nice and clear without having to be obnoxiously loud. And that's because I'm cutting the rhythm guitars back by about a dB. Now, you wouldn't think this would make a big difference, but remember, I'm cutting both of my rhythm guitar performances down by a dB to make room for my lead guitar. Now, yes, I could have my rhythm guitar sitting at the same level as the chorus, then have my lead screaming loud. But what's gonna happen then is when the lead disappears, the guitars are gonna sound empty and the mix is gonna sound small. So by subtly reducing the volume of my rhythm guitars, all of a sudden the listener can now pay close attention, will be drawn to the solo. Now, if you listen after the solo into the breakdown, the opposite happens. Let's check it out. So when the breakdown kicks in, my rhythm guitars are then being bumped up by a dB and a half. So it sounds completely smooth to the listener. Again, they were listening to the guitar solo, and then when the guitar solo is gone, the rhythm guitars are bumped back up even a little louder than they were in the chorus. But again, because I'm paying close attention to detail, when the vocals come back in and when the guitar overdubs in the background come back in, I lower my rhythm guitars yet again. Now let's hear that transition between the first half of the breakdown and the second half of the breakdown. So as you can hear, the transitions are super smooth. Nothing sounds like it drops out. If you were just listening passively, you wouldn't notice any difference between the volume of the different guitar tracks. But again, that simple volume automation on my rhythm guitars is creating extra space for my leads and even my vocals to help cut through and to help direct the listener to what they should be paying attention to. I know automation does not seem fun, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the longer that I mix, the more I realize how powerful and how essential volume automation is in a mix. You can EQ until you're blue in the face. You can try out every fancy pants amp sim under the sun. If you don't pay attention to the basics, your mix ain't gonna sit right. And that's one thing I hear a whole lot. And I'm guilty of this myself when I started out. People send me mixes with all these guitar layers and things pop in and drop out. And I could totally tell that there's no automation going on, and it shows. There's a reason why amazing mixers like Andy Wallace spend so much time on simple volume automation. So I'm curious to know, do you spend time automating your guitars to make room for each other in a mix? Leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'd love to hear your opinion. Now, the truth is we live in the best time in history to be a metal or rock musician. And this comes down to the simple fact that we have access to these things called MIDI drums and amp sims, which allow us to produce fully professional sounding results right within our home studios. The problem is that so many of us make the same mistakes over and over and over again. And because of this, I'm giving you direct access right now to my MIDI drums and amp sims production checklist. It's where I highlight these mistakes and show you how you could avoid them so you could achieve better results with the gear you're currently using. The PDF guide is absolutely free, and there's a link in this video's description where you can download it right now. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. Till next time, happy mixing.